Welcome once again to another Chef Knives to Go quick look product review. I'm Steve Gamache and we have a Sugimoto cleaver this time. So this is their Sugimoto SF4030 cleaver. This is quite similar to the number 6 and number 7. It's made in the same style, same materials. It's just a smaller, lighter version of that. So if you want something a little less large and heavy, this might be an option for you. So they use a 3-layer construction on this, and the hardcore steel is what they label as pure Japanese ore. Based on some research and Chef Knives to Go info and around the web, a lot of people seem to think this is Shidogami, either number 2 or number 1. If that's the case, it's a really high quality, fine grain, easy to sharpen steel that gets very, very sharp. And with this heat treat around 62 to 63 should hold a nice edge for that rendition of steel. They put a soft iron cladding on either side of that core steel, and it looks like the cladding does cover the spine. It comes over the top. You can see the cladding line where the grind starts very clearly here. They've got a sandblasted finish on this lower part of the blade, but then where they have the grind, that goes away, and you can see the core steel coming out. It's quite generous there with the grind. So let's take a look at the weight and dimensions. These might vary just a little bit from knife to knife, but this particular one is 345 grams or 12.2 ounces. The edge length is about 190 millimeters from the tip to the chin, the back of the heel, and the overall length is about 295 millimeters or 11.6 inches. The spine, before we do that, as long as we get it down here, the blade height right around the middle of the blade is around 94-ish. As you start to get towards the front and back, and then 97-ish in the middle. So these are a little less tall with the belly on the grind at the front and the back. So 97 around peak height towards the middle. The thickness on these, coming out of the handle, it's about 3.3-ish millimeters. And then I measured it halfway, it's about 2 1/4. And then pretty much just holds that and thins down just slightly as it kind of comes to the end on the other side of the blade here. So it's got some heft to it. It's pretty stiff as well. Well, let's take a look at the aesthetics on this. So they've got a nice looking blade here, nice fit and finish. There's some deeply embossed kanji on here. It's really pushed quite a bit into the blade, so it's going to hold up a long time. You've got a stamped logo, Sugimoto logo on this side. So this is the right side of the blade. You can see the sandblasted finish here, and then where the grind kicks in, you can see the core steel peeking out. It's a little hard to tell, but you can kind of see that cladding line right in there. The left side of the blade, as you would be holding it cutting, has, in this case, some etched logos, model number, and so on, and brand name. They've got a brushed horizontal finish on this. Some people call it a hairline finish, but what's nice about that brushed finish is that as you clean a knife, you're almost always, wiping it down horizontally like this or longitudinally, and so what'll happen is those scratches will tend to blend into that finish rather than fight them as a knife that has a vertical finish on it. So that's a cool addition. Here's a close-up look at those embossed kanji, and then the edge. So the real magic on the grind happens right in there where you see that change. So they taper down as you go from the spine, but then it really hits with this grind. If you look down here, you can see that. So that's where the grind kicks in, and it gets pretty darn thin at the edge. So these perform very, very well. They've got a little bit of mass to them, more so than the CCK thin cleaver, and you've definitely got a little more chopping power there, as well as awesome core steel. The handle's nothing fancy. It's a basic wooden handle. It's got their logo on it, bent over tang to hold it on, stainless bolster, although there tends to be a gap here that you might want to seal up to keep moisture out of that handle area. So let's look at it on the cutting board. Actually, before I do it, let's find the balance point. So on this knife, the balance point is right about there, pretty much almost in the middle of that second large character there. So depending on your grip, some people use 2 fingers on the back, 1 finger, index finger on the spine. There's lots of different grips. You've still got some weight forward balance to it for some heft. Here is the cutting profile. So these can vary a little bit from knife to knife, but this is generally fairly curvy. You've got a little bit of belly towards the tip, a little bit of belly towards the heel. And then, so you could rock over short stuff, but it's going to be short stuff. You're not going to go way up here with it. Push-pull cuts, chopping if you're put a little bit of motion with that, so you can kind of take advantage of that shape of the edge. But there's your profile. So just an excellent knife with great core steel, nice fit and finish. Some heft to it, but not as big as the number 6 or number 7. So this is the Sugimoto SF4030 Cleaver.